The Rocket's full life story. 1. Born for greatness. Early life in Chigwell. Ronald Antonio O'Sullivan was born on December 5, 1975, in Wordsley, West Midlands, England. His Italian and Irish heritage came from his mother, Maria, and his father, Ronnie Sr., who was of Irish descent. From a very young age, Ronnie's life was anything but ordinary. Raised in Chigwell, Essex, a well-off area thanks to his father's lucrative business running a string of sex shops, Ronnie grew up in an environment of wealth, fast cars, and a tough London attitude. From the outside, it seemed he had everything: a big house, private schooling, and luxury holidays. But Ronnie's life was also surrounded by instability. His father was known for being flamboyant and controversial, and while Ronnie Sr. gave young Ronnie everything money could buy, what mattered more was the early support he provided for his son's growing interest in snooker. At the age of 7, Ronnie O'Sullivan picked up a snooker cue for the first time. It wasn't long before it was obvious he was different. While other kids might have been playing outside or watching cartoons, Ronnie was mastering angles, spin, and cue ball control. By 10, he had already compiled his first century break. That alone would have been exceptional. But Ronnie wasn't just skilled. He was electric. 2. Teenage phenomenon. Dominating the amateur ranks. Ronnie's teenage years were dominated by one thing: snooker. His father had built a snooker room in their home and took him to local clubs to play against grown men. Ronnie would beat them effortlessly. His ability to see the game several shots ahead, combined with his natural rhythm and attacking instincts, made him stand out. At 12, he was a national junior champion. By age 15, he made a 147 break in the British Amateur Championship, the youngest ever at the time. The world started to whisper the same question. Could this be the next big thing? In 1992, at the age of 16, Ronnie turned professional. That year, he entered the professional circuit with an almost mythical buzz around him. His first season was staggering. He won 74 of his first 76 matches, a record that remains unmatched. People began calling him the Rocket, due to the speed of his play. He would often clear the table faster than television cameras could keep up. 3. Breaking records and making headlines. In 1993, just a year into his professional career, Ronnie made snooker history. At the UK Championship in Preston, he won the title at just 17 years and 358 days old, becoming the youngest ever winner of a ranking event. The victory included wins over seasoned players like Steve Davis and Stephen Hendry, and the snooker world was officially on notice. The next superstar had arrived. His style was a revelation. Where most players were methodical and calculated, Ronnie was fluid and instinctive. He played at a pace that defied belief. Ronnie didn't just entertain, he redefined what was possible on a snooker table. 4. The shadow of tragedy, family, and emotional struggles. In 1992, the same year Ronnie turned professional, his life was turned upside down. His father, Ronnie Sr., was convicted of murdering Bruce Bryan, a chauffeur for the infamous gangster Charlie Cray, in a nightclub. Ronnie Sr. was sentenced to life in prison. Ronnie was just 16. The man who had been his mentor, protector, and biggest fan was gone, behind bars for what could be decades. This emotional blow would affect Ronnie deeply for years to come. Though he rarely spoke about it publicly in his early years, it left a wound that he carried into every tournament, every interview, every frame. 4 years later, in 1996, his mother Maria was convicted of tax fraud and spent time in jail. For a young man in the public eye, already struggling with the pressures of being a sporting prodigy, the experience was crushing. He became reclusive, often withdrawn, and his mental health began to deteriorate. The public saw the erratic behavior, the skipped events, the outbursts, but they didn't always see the broken young man behind it. 5. The rise and fall and rise again. Despite the personal chaos, Ronnie continued to play snooker at the highest level. His natural talent kept him winning matches, even when he was emotionally checked out. But there were signs that all was not well. He admitted to drinking heavily between matches. He later confessed that he had played some events while under the influence of drugs, including cannabis. His relationship with the press was hot and cold. Sometimes he'd give charming interviews. Other times he'd mumble, rant, or walk out altogether. In the early 2000s, Ronnie hit a low point. He lost matches he should have won. He seemed to lose interest in the game. His mental health worsened. In 2000, he began seeing sports psychiatrist Dr. Steve Peters, who would become one of the most important figures in Ronnie's life. Peters taught Ronnie how to manage his inner chimp, the emotional, impulsive part of the brain. The relationship marked the beginning of Ronnie's emotional recovery, though the battle would never be over. 6. The purest form of genius. From 2001 to 2008, Ronnie produced some of the finest snooker ever seen. In 2001, he won his first world championship, defeating John Higgins. He followed it up with more titles, UK championships, Masters wins, and a steady climb to the top of the rankings. He dazzled audiences not just with his wins, but how he won. His 147 at the 1997 World Championship, completed in 5 minutes and 8 seconds, became the stuff of legend. He didn't just pot the balls, he danced with them. The break was fast, effortless, and perfect. Even today, it's often cited as the greatest 147 of all time. Ronnie didn't just entertain, he redefined what was possible on a snooker table. 7. The complex man behind the cue. As he aged, Ronnie became more open about his struggles. He spoke candidly about his battles with depression, his addictions, and the constant pressure of being in the spotlight. He often said he didn't even enjoy snooker. "I play because I'm good at it," he once said, "but it doesn't always make me happy." Despite his inner turmoil, Ronnie became snooker's biggest draw. Tickets sold out when he played. TV ratings spiked. Even people who didn't understand snooker tuned in to watch Ronnie O'Sullivan play. He began writing books, first an autobiography, then fiction novels, and even a thriller. He became a runner, entering competitive long-distance races and even marathons. He credited running with saving his life. It gave him discipline, mental clarity, and a break from the pressure of snooker. 8. The GOAT debate and continued dominance. Ronnie's career continued to flourish well into his 40s. In 2012, he won his 4th world championship. In 2013, he returned from a year-long sabbatical to win his 5th. In 2020, at the age of 44, he won his 6th, and in 2022, he equaled Stephen Hendry's record of 7 world championship titles by defeating Judd Trump in the final. By this point, the debate was over. Ronnie O'Sullivan was the greatest snooker player of all time, statistically and stylistically. He had the most ranking titles, the most century breaks, over 1,300, the most 147 breaks, 15, the fastest 147, the most UK titles, 7, the most Masters titles, 7, titles across 5 decades. More importantly, he had changed the sport forever. 9. The unapologetic rebel. Throughout his career, Ronnie remained unapologetically himself. He criticized the World Snooker Tour's policies. He refused to do mandatory press events. He spoke out against prize money, referees, venues, and commentators. He was fined, warned, suspended, but never silenced. Some saw him as arrogant. Others saw him as a genius too big for the sport's rules. But nobody could deny he was the face of snooker. Even in his 40s, Ronnie could destroy the best players in the world without seeming to try. His ability to switch between casual and clinical play made him unpredictable and dangerous. 10. The legacy of a legend. Ronnie O'Sullivan's legacy is vast. He brought millions of fans to snooker. He made the game cool, emotional, and unpredictable. He inspired players around the world, not just to play snooker, but to express themselves. For fans, he's more than a player. He's a symbol of excellence and vulnerability. A man who, despite fame and fortune, has never stopped battling his demons. A man who kept going, even when everything inside him said stop. Ronnie once said, "It's not about being perfect, it's about staying in the game."